Hey, what's up, friend? Kris Krohn here. A lot of you are subscribed to this channel and follow me because I'm showing you how to make millions of dollars in business or real estate, or I'm teaching you the mindset. Today, however, I actually want to bring my wife on the channel and get an opportunity to back up and say, hey, you can have all the money in the world, you can have the health that you want, but if your relationships are not where you want them to be, it can sometimes feel like it doesn't even matter. So today is dedicated to you, in service of you, with the best marriage advice and relationship advice that has allowed my wife and I to overcome our hardships or difficulties and literally live and set up shop on Cloud 9.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
Hey everybody, this is my wife, Kalen.
Hi everybody.
I know that you don't get a chance to see her very often, or if you come out to my live events, you certainly get to meet her. She's not only the most important person in my world, not just the mother of our 4 kids, but we've been together now for what, 17 years of marriage?
17.
We've known each other for nearly
Yep.
18 years.
Yeah.
And listen, if you're watching this video, it might be because you are looking for some advice. And listen, we certainly have been through, if you look back, everything started off wonderful, and then at one point it's like, do we even love each other anymore? There was frustration, there was doubt, there was worry. There's very real frustrations. For starters, Glenn, I mean, how real is and how important is this conversation?
I think it's really important. It happens with every marriage, or maybe every close relationship, where it starts out great for a certain period of time, and then real life sets in. Real arguments come up, real differences come up. You know, a lot of people want to know, how do you work through those and keep the marriage alive and keep the love alive and keep that spark alive?
You know, there's a lot of people that are just in patterns where it's like, well, when we talk about this, everything's great, but then these are the things that we can't talk about, because if we do, there's going to be anger or sadness or tears or shutdown. There's going to be some kind of pattern that isn't healthy for the relationship. I mean, that's kind of where things used to be for us, is started great, like you said, and then got to that difficulty. One of the patterns that I've come to recognize is that when you first fall in love, it's very unconditional. There's nothing you wouldn't do for the person that you love.
And I think you also are looking for the things you have in common. You're looking for the things that you agree on. There's kind of that really rose-colored glasses feel when it's new.
Yeah, but listen, the moment things get hard, the moment there's financial difficulties, the moment you start finding the things that you can also argue about, that's when I find that love goes from being unconditional to transactional. And it just means that we start scorekeeping, and then it just becomes, well, if you do this, I'll do this, and if you do that, I'll do that. A transactional relationship,
Sounds like a business.
It is. It only brings so much joy. It only brings so much happiness. And maybe you can relate to that if you're watching this and you're figuring out, man, you're right, Kris, it started off unconditional, and then it became transactional. How do you get back to unconditional? My wife and I, we invented a little game that I dare say almost feels like it saved our marriage, because it took us from rocky ground. And literally, when I say set up shop on Cloud 9, it's because really day in and day out, for the most part, you know, I'm appreciative of the fact that I can go crush it in business and be with my kids and hang out with my friends and always come home and know that this is the strongest part of my life, is the relationship that we have. So this woman is absolutely amazing. And she's chosen to be that way. I've chosen to be that way. Here's the game. We call it
the unconditional love game.
All right, where it's all unicorns and how does my daughter say that? It's always unicorns and cupcakes, and everything's always wonderful. It's like, oh, that'd be great if that were true. How do you get there? This game was wrought from a dark place in my personal life, where my wife and I we really couldn't get face to face on a number of issues. As dumb as it sounds here on camera, I mean, the reality is, we would fight over the same handful of things over and over again. And for me, part of it was my commitment to Germanic cleanliness. I wanted the dishes done a certain way. I wanted the closet organized. You know, when it came to intimacy, I wanted our love life to be a certain way. And when I couldn't have that, there was this dissonance. One day, it just occurred to me that instead of contemplating divorce, contemplate what it would be to go back to unconditional love. And so the very next morning, I turned to my wife, and as I woke up next to her, I said, hey, what can I do today to show you I love you?
And that's number one.
And Glenn came up with a request. I think it was probably odd for her to have gotten that from me, but she made her request, and it had to do, I think, with getting the kids ready for school and getting them dressed.
It was something like that.
Well, I remember, because I hate dressing my kids. Like, I don't know where to find their crap, and is it the right thing? And I've got my one boy wearing my younger boy's clothing, and nothing fits. To me, it all looks fine. And, so she made that request, and step 2 is to do it. And step 3 is to do it without strings attached, meaning it's not a trade. Glenn gave me the request. I did it that day. And I didn't just do it to say I did it and check off the box. I did it to the way she would have wanted, which meant I took the extra time to put care into these clothes match. Are these things the right thing? Is this the way she would have dressed them? And so I got my kids ready, and then I made sure during the day that I wasn't looking for compensation. I wasn't looking for an acknowledgement. I wasn't looking for appreciation. The gift came with no strings. Step 4 is we climbed back in bed, and I just said, hey, at the start of the day, you asked me to do X. Give me some feedback. How did that go? Could I have done better? And this is where you're just sincerely looking for help to know her mind, your spouse's mind, your significant other. What is it that they really wanted, and did you meet that? Because it's learning how to love them the way that they want to be loved.
That brings up a principle that we like to talk about called spousal advocacy, which means that you want what your spouse wants because they want it. You show up for them to do what they want. And for me, nowadays, like that feels like an integral part of where I operate all the time. You know, if you say something that you want, maybe it's not something I want for you or I want, but I want to give you what you want, and I want you to, your happiness is so important to me. So it's absolutely, how can we make that happen?
But to be clear, that's not how it started. You see, the very next day, I got up and I asked Colleen, what could I do for you today? It was not easy. It was weird to just be doing all these favors for my wife without expecting, somehow I had habituated myself to wanting something in return. But by the first week, I noticed something of playing this game. First of all, Colleen didn't know what the game was. She wasn't playing the game. It was just me playing the game. She was a part of the game. And I came to realize that the game was for me, not her.
Yep.
I changed my heart. Then 3 weeks later, being much happier in my relationship, something weird happened. I turned over to Glenn in the morning, step 1, hey, what can I do for you today? And then when she told me what she wanted, then
Probably
she
had to do with dishes.
Probably had to do with dishes.
Something.
But then you turned to me and then you reciprocated.
Yeah, I said, well, what can I do for you today to show you I love you?
Now, at first, I'm not gonna lie, my imagination ran wild. And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, no. That's the conditional part of you showing up again. So I made a request, and at the end of that day, I had done the thing that Glenn asked me. She had not done the thing that I asked for.
Yet.
You didn't do it that day. And it's like, at first I was like, this was like messing with me. I'm like, and I had to remind myself, you're unconditional. It's not an exchange. Do not hold that expectation over her head. It's okay if she doesn't. You get to love her no matter what. You get to love her on her best days and worst days. You get to love her whether she's reciprocating or not.
It must have been a worse day.
Well, I'll tell you what, over the next couple of days, you kept on reciprocating and asking, and then started, and then we got into this amazing routine of both of us asking the question. Before that happened, though, I learned how to be happy in my relationship again because I thought that my wife needed to do something for me. The reality is, I needed to show up with a more pure heart. I needed to show up with a love that said, hey, I love you on your best days and worst days, and I love you no matter what, and I'll show up for you no matter what. And to this, even though we've taught marriage courses and relationship courses, and we got one coming up in Hawaii later this year, out of everything that we share, this is probably the most transformational, cute little game that you can play in your relationship. So if you're struggling in a relationship right now, the 4 steps. Number 1, ask today, what can I do for you? Step 2, do it. Step 3, do not look for an exchange. And then step 4, at the end of the day, get some real feedback. How could I have done that better? Play this game for 30 days. See how it impacts your heart. See how it changes the game, especially when you don't expect anything. For me, did something weird. It didn't place me back to how good things were when we met. It took us to places that we've never been before. And that's really been the reality. For you, what's been the best part of where we're at today, and having played this game for years now, what advice would you give our friends here that are looking for that relationship advice?
Around the same time we did that, we really did a lot of releasing and letting go of old hurts, old baggage. And I think that's really important because it really felt like a new beginning in our marriage where everything could just be fresh and we could just show up for each other. And then when there's days where we feel like we can't, if we're in a bad space or, hormones or whatever it is, that you can hold space for the other person and just love them without expecting that reciprocation, because it's a one-person game. You don't have to have your spouse play it if they're not in a space to, if they're not ready to. Knowing that you are the one showing up to contribute to the relationship instead of waiting or instead of taking, that makes such a difference to me.
Absolutely. And for those of you that watch my channel because you like all the wealth and the financial and the real estate training, the reality is that It's time to broaden the definition of wealth. It's not money. That begins to scrape the surface of what real wealth is. In the end, how you feel about your life, how much you're enjoying your life, how much you're enjoying the people that are in your life, that's the wealth that really matters. And you can have all the money in the world, but if you lose that core relationship, then all of a sudden it doesn't matter anymore. And so understand that this is where you want to make your biggest investment. If you're going to take money and put it in property to invest it or do things for your financial future, then the gift here is the gift of time in the language of the person that you love. So find out what they want and then love them unconditionally in that matter. And if you do that, my friend, no matter how dark it is right now, the sun will rise again. And it's up to you to make that happen. Play the unconditional love game. Take your life and marriage to a whole new level. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope that was helpful. It was in service of all of you out there in committed relationships wanting to know how to love them up. For those of you that really enjoyed this video, share it with somebody. But even more so, if you click the link in the description below, my real secret to having an amazing marriage comes down to breakthrough. My wife and I are both certified in a technique that I created, and it's all about how you overcome your limitations. It's how you overcome, really negative emotions, and it's really how you learn how to step up and become happy at your own will rather than whatever circumstance is happening in your life. So I've written a book called Limitless. If you want to get your hands on a free copy of it, it'll show you the 9 steps of how I can take any problem and annihilate it and turn it into your most blissful part of who you are as a human being. So if you'd like that free gift, all you got to do is click the link below. You'll also learn about some of our other events that we're having that are designed to help you level up your relationship. Thanks for watching, my friend, and we'll see you tomorrow.